And conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today in our second hour. Brooklyn College distinguished professor and New York Times bestselling author Jean Theo-Harris on her provocative new text, King of the North, Martin Luther King Jr.'s life of struggle outside of the South. Dr. King had a turbulent and terrible time trying to organize above the Mason-Dixon line. We'll talk about it with Jean Theo-Harris in hour two. In our third hour, in hour three, a conversation with Grammy-nominated composer, curator, and activist Carlos Simon about his transcendent musical experience merging gospel and classical traditions, spoken word, and visual art. Carlos Simon is soon to perform the world premiere of his L.A. Field-commissioned Good News Mass with the Los Angeles Philharmonic and the maestro, Gustavo Dudamel. We'll talk about that in later today's program. In this first hour, though, two more conversations. On the B side of this hour, our regular contributor, Ruben Navarrette Jr., on Trump, immigrants, and the courts. One judge says the Trump administration can deport Columbia University protester Mahmoud Khalil. Meanwhile, another judge orders the Trump administration to return a Maryland man wrongly deported to El Salvador. What gives? We'll talk about it with Ruben Navarrette on the backside of this hour, though we commence today's show in conversation with Newark Mayor and New Jersey gubernatorial candidate Raz Baraka. Mayor Baraka, good to have you on, sir. How are you today?
I'm great, man. Glad to be here with you.
It's my honor to have you on. Let me just start with the obvious question. Why are you running for governor of New Jersey? We'll jump from there.
Well, I think the time is absolutely right for us to build a broad-based coalition across this state, across zip codes and nationality and language, how people identify to deal with the kind of inequity that exists in the state of New Jersey. The high cost of living, particularly in Black and brown communities, the inaccessibility to the middle class, the huge wealth gap that exists here, the inequity in healthcare outcomes. All these things need to be addressed. And so our problems have become the state's problems. And now the state can't move forward because we have not addressed the fundamental problems of equity in our state, whether it's racial equity or economic equity. And then on top of that, what's going on with the presidency and Donald Trump has really compounded things in the state and in the country, has worsened our state. And we need a leadership now more than ever. We need somebody that's not going to dance in the middle, but somebody that's going to push us now and use this as an opportunity, this crisis as an opportunity to leave and be imaginative and build a democracy socially and economically that we want to see. And I think we're the person to do the job. The state's largest city, Newark. I've been the mayor for the past decade. And so we're ready to take that show on the road.
You raised Trump's name. Didn't take you long to do that. And why are you doing that? Because you are one of the most progressive elected Democrats in the nation. And it seems to me, as I follow this campaign, that you are leaning into those liberal views. You're leaning into this anti-Trump messaging strategy in an attempt to stand out from others in the field. And it may very well be paying off. Donald Trump may be doing you a favor. Let me just play right quick for the audience one of your commercials you're running in New Jersey right now.
I will sign an executive order to begin eliminating the Federal Department of Education.
Donald Trump is killing the Department of Education and attacking Social Security. In the race for governor, only one New Jersey Democrat is fighting back. Raz Baraka. Raz Baraka is a proud Democrat, and he's not afraid to stand up to Donald Trump.
They don't have to go too far to look for criminals. They just need to go to the Oval Office because there's a criminal in the Oval Office.
That's the commercial being run, one of the many commercials being run by Raz Baraka right now, his campaign in the state of New Jersey. When we come forward, we'll talk about those progressive views and whether or not that can put him over the top in the state of New Jersey. We'll talk about whether one can successfully run for governor right about now, campaigning against one Donald Trump, and a great deal more to discuss. I mentioned on this program a few days ago, actually last week, a week ago today, at this very hour, Andy Kim, the junior senator from New Jersey, was on this program. Of course, we all know Cory Booker. So New Jersey is the only state that has two people of color representing it in the U.S. Senate. Andy Kim, the first Korean-American ever in the U.S. Senate, and, of course, again, Cory Booker. Imagine then if Raz Baraka, with his black self, becomes the mayor of the state, the governor, rather, of the state of New Jersey. New Jersey would be all that and then some. More with Raz Baraka when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Hi, I'm Joe Montaigne. Let's talk about veteran homelessness, because it's not just a housing issue, it's a human issue. Right now, we need LA property owners to open their doors and give veterans a safe place to call home. With guaranteed rent and dedicated support, you can be part of the solution. Learn how you can help. Email houseuurvets@lacity.org.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. but they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent. And the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
no warrant, no key, my privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed. Our guest, leadoff guest today is longtime Newark, New Jersey Mayor Raz Baraka, running for governor in the Garden State. I played a moment ago, in case you just tuned in, one of his commercials. He's running there in New Jersey. The entire nation is watching this race for many reasons, not the least of which is to see whether or not Raz Baraka can make an anti-Trump message strategy work. Tell me about that strategy, Mayor.
Well, I think that when he's making it, as you said earlier, making it easy, giving us a layup, you know, at the end of the day, when I first started campaigning, a lot of issues were around what I spoke about, the rising housing costs, the inaccessibility to the middle class, the high cost of living in New Jersey. Donald Trump quickly turned that into fear, people's fear about their Social Security, fear about veterans benefits, fear about, losing funding because of DEI or because of their stance on LGBTQ rights, funding from universities and colleges, or students being deported who are rightfully in the United States because of their views and ideas. So people are terrified of what's happening in the country. The democracy is under attack. Constitution is being undermined. The courts are not being obeyed. So, up and down the state of New Jersey, people are constantly asking questions about what's going to happen if Donald Trump begins to continue to do what he's doing. And so they're looking for leadership. And so we're speaking out and letting them know, not only do we provide leadership now, that we've been doing that from the onstart, that we've been pushing back against Donald Trump in his first term. So we're going to do it now as well.
Yep. I have not been the mayor of Newark for a decade, as you have been, Raz Baraka, but I spent enough time in New Jersey to understand a bit about how the politics work there. And while Newark is the state's largest city, as you well know, I ain't got to tell you this, it's also frowned upon by other other residents in the state of New Jersey. Does that work for you or against you, having been the mayor of Newark all this time?
Well, I think in this instant it does. I mean, there's some people who still have these kind of negative tropes and stereotypes about the city because they're just racist. But at the end of the day, the development that's happened in the city, the reduction of violence by 61%, the reduction of street homelessness, the moving people from Section 8 vouchers to mortgages, the guaranteed education and income programs, all the things that have been happening using the city as a lab of democracy have been successful. So, we have a real record to stand on, changing 23,000 lead service lines in the city without any cost to taxpayers, balancing the budget the way we have, going up twice in Moody's since we've been the mayor for 10 years. So we have a lot of good messaging. In fact, I have a State of the City coming up on Thursday that I get to reiterate these points. But people all over the state can drive to Newark and they can see the difference right away. So I mean, on that point, that is beneficial to us.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier, as you heard, Andy Kim as your junior senator from the state of New Jersey, Cory Booker as your senior senator from the state of New Jersey. Maybe it's something in the water, but when you look at just that reality, it does make this state uniquely different when it comes to people of color in high office. Am I overreading that?
No, I think that, obviously that we have a huge number of progressive voters in the state of New Jersey, progressive white voters that are solid in the state and that are growing, a huge progressive coalition. African-American and Latino voters are heavy and really raising them. They're voting, getting more of them out to vote. That coalition is a winning coalition in the state. Just trying to keep it together and keep it growing is always a issue, but, we have to do it. I mean, it's the same coalition that made Barack Obama the president of the United States twice in a row. We have a solid coalition like that in New Jersey. We have to keep it functioning.
You have stood up to ICE in your city of Newark. Tell me more about immigration in Newark and in New Jersey in this Trump era.
Well, the Washington Post asked me, what do Newarkers feel about immigrants? I told them, I don't know even know if they know who's an immigrant, who's not in New Jersey or Newark. I mean, anybody could be, they could talk to anybody. They could just got there yesterday. The folks don't know. I mean, we had immigrants from the continent, from Africa, from West Indies, from the Caribbean and Latin America. So everybody is there. So, but ultimately, like I said, these are our neighbors, and what ICE has been doing is really violating people's Fourth Amendment rights. Violating due process, no warrants, running up to people, pulling them over, stopping them, asking them for papers. I mean, that is a difficult and dangerous situation. If we allow that to happen to one group of people, it'll easily happen to all of us. And like I said earlier, we don't know who's documented, who's undocumented by looking at them in Newark. I mean, anybody's liable to get stopped and pulled over by ICE. In fact, they stopped a guy that was Puerto Rican and an Army veteran. Mm-hmm. Maybe they didn't know their geography, but they stopped a guy from Puerto Rico and asked him questions. He showed them his veterans, his military ID, and they didn't believe it.
No, that story is all too familiar, not just in Newark but all around the country. You have been recognized. You've been recognized nationally as a thought leader in the space of urban revitalization. Tell me how you think urban revitalization in this moment is challenged in the Trump era.
Obviously, I mean them taking money away from housing, from public housing, taking grants and opportunities away from cities to stop us from doing public-private partnerships. Money that's being pulled away because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Forces people to tiptoe and not be as creative and innovative as they need to be. Innovation is under threat here. It's under threat academically. It's under threat scientifically. It's under threat socially. We can't be innovative because these folks are taking resources and money away from people who are being creative and innovative, who are widening the opportunities. To me, when you have a diverse field, you open it up. You get to have a greater choice. If you narrow the choices down, you wind up getting somebody like J.D. Vance. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you got to expand that so you have an opportunity to get more people. And the private sector community has been working with us, and I think they want to work with us. To attack some of the social ills in our city and in the state, and begin to attack the deep inequity that exists in the state as well.
Tell me how you've reimagined public safety as mayor for a decade in Newark.
Well, we have an Office of Violence Prevention, Trauma Recovery, Brick City Peace Collective, the National League of Cities, the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Everybody's been coming here, looking at our model where we use community violent intervention workers. We partner with Rutgers University and University Hospital to get real data, social and other kinds of data around what's happening in the city to help us resolve and reduce crime. Our folks sit in with the police and CompStat, so this is a full partnership of social workers in a precinct, social workers in a youth detention facility, social workers at central booking, sending social workers out in groups, to in the summertime to talk to young people. So we do that collectively here in the city of Newark, and it's helped us reduce violence by 61%. I mean, crime hasn't been this low in Newark since John F. Kennedy was the president of the United States. And I would attribute that to the relationship between the police and the community. And it also helped us reduce police community incidents. because it builds a kind of trust that we didn't have 10 years ago. So it has been fruitful for us all the way around and reducing police incidents and helping us resolve crime. So we've been able to arrest less people and resolve more crime at the same time.
I got about 8 minutes left with you. I want to cover some more ground here. Let me just play politics for a second. Nobody can play it better than you can. But I'm sitting in California, as you well know, and Kamala Harris has said that she will let us know by the end of the summer whether or not she's going to run for governor of California. Now, this is my politics, not yours. I've said a couple times now that I don't like that. I don't like the fact that there are other Democrats in this race who want to get in this race, and they're being frozen at some level because she's taken all summer long to decide whether she wants to get in. She has agency. That's her right to do that. I can't tell nobody how to make their decisions or when to make them. That ain't my business. I'm just saying that it does, in fact, put a certain kind of freeze on this race while she takes all this time to figure out whether she wants to get in. That's my first issue with Kamala Harris. My second issue is, and again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, one could argue that any Democrat that runs this state, including the current governor, Gavin Newsom, who is not liked by Donald Trump, doesn't make it easier for Californians. But nobody running for governor in California was the vice president who ran against Donald Trump. And were Kamala Harris to win, one, get in the race and then win, one could make the argument that ain't good for California. That the Trump administration really ain't gonna have no love for us if Kamala Harris is the governor of California. So it may be good for her to get back in the political game, but is it good for the citizenry in the state of California? That's just a question. Why do I say that? Because you're campaigning so hard against Donald Trump. If you win the Democratic nomination and then become the governor of New Jersey, are you at all concerned about how the federal government is going to maltreat you, given how you campaigned against Trump to get to the governor's mansion?
Well, I think they're going to treat us badly anyway. And as you said, I think that's going to happen because our policies are going to be, contrary to what he is trying to do. We're going to lean in on diversity, equity, and inclusion. He's going to take our money because of that. Mm-hmm. We're going to protect the LGBTQ community. We're going to protect immigrants who provide over $1 billion worth of state and local taxes and workforce that we desperately need in the Garden State. He knows that, which is why now he's backpedaling, trying to say he's trying to keep immigrants who are working on farms and in restaurants here in the country. Mm-hmm. I think most of his policies are backward and negative, or economically detrimental and socially dehumanizing. And ultimately, I think it'll drop his ratings. And some of that stuff he's going to back up off of, because you're not just hurting people of color. You're hurting all working people across the state, whether they're across the country, whether they're Republican or Democrat, mm-hmm. Whether they're Christian or Muslim or Catholic. I think people are affected. Everybody has special needs kids and be hurt by the Indian Department of Education. Everybody has veterans in their family and be hurt by veterans benefits being difficult to get, or Social Security. I think these are bad policies, and we have to push back against them. So it's not about him. It's about his policies. And so we have to be as loud as we can against these policies, and which will make him an enemy of ours, whether you say his name or not. And so we might as well go all in. That's how I feel. And I think, you're right about the fact that I think Kamala should jump out and say what she's going to do. And it is making some people freeze. But I would say to those folks, if you're really interested in being a governor, you should jump out there anyway and run. Sure. If you think you're the better candidate, you should run, or at least say you're going to run and speak your intentions. And you guys can figure it out, as you go. Yeah. But ultimately, I think her voice is important, and it needs to be heard nationally. Still, she shouldn't, cower into the shadows. Sure. Because of what Donald Trump is doing. No, I don't disagree with that at all. Not at all. Let me quote from you. I guess about 4 minutes left here. Let me quote from you in an article in Politico talking about Democrats and how they are approaching the Trump era all wrong. I quote now from the Newark Mayor Raz Baraka. I think they're playing into the national kind of sentiment, the Democratic sentiment, that Trump has won and we need to placate him and move toward the middle. I think that's wrong, a losing strategy. I think it's a losing strategy in New Jersey in November, and it's a losing strategy in the country during the midterms, close quote. Tell me more about the way you think Democrats are moving, not moving, showing up or not showing up strategy-wise in this moment. Well, I think they did it during the election. They were chasing Liz Cheney around the country. I thought that was backward, that you needed the winning solution to this was to lean into your base, to extend the Black vote, extend the Latino vote, go into places like Michigan and Ohio, go into, the southern parts of the country and begin to grow Black vote, make sure the Black voters turn out, make sure Latino voters turn out. Mm-hmm. And I think we missed the opportunity there. They missed the opportunity in New Jersey. The voter turnout of Black people in New Jersey was less. Yeah. We had 500,000 less people vote in Democrats for Kamala Harris than Joe Biden. And that began before Kamala, by the way. 1 million less Democrats voted for Phil Murphy, who's the governor now in his second term. He still won, but 1 million Democrats stayed home. I think that's a policy that we use because we're having a difficult time governing. You take a place like New Jersey, this is a blue state. That's the party of the working families, when working families are the ones that are struggling, right? We continue to give the super wealthy tax breaks and hit working class and poor families in the state. So people don't trust Democrats. They don't trust their ability to govern. They don't trust that what they say is what they're going to do. And ultimately, we've allowed the Republican Party to usurp the title of the working class, the party of the working class. And we know that's not true. Yeah. But working class families don't see Democrats organizing for them, right? What they see is us continuously to give the super wealthy in our party privilege while everybody else is struggling. And that has to change. And we have to make that change as we campaign.
Yeah. I've got 90 seconds left. I want to close on this note. Those locally, this program, as you know, is syndicated and heard in cities and states all across the country right now. As I always say, I'm grateful for that. But in L.A., we all know that your sister, Dominique DePrima, is the morning show host on my station. She just went off the air when I came on here in L.A., Dominique DePrima, the sister of Mayor Raz Baraka. And nationally, everybody knows that your father is the legendary artistic giant, Mayor Baraka. How do you see your work politically extending the artistic legacy of your father?
Well, I'm a writer and poet myself, so obviously, my father told me a long time ago, don't lose your poetry license. Yeah. And I took that to mean to continue to write poetry, but don't forget where you came from. Like you're a writer, you're an activist, you're an author, you're an artist, and that should inform your politics, obviously, and it does, and it's been important to me, and it's also helped me stay sane in times of chaos as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Raz Baraka is part of a grand legacy. The Baraka family, known not just in New Jersey, but all around the country. I'm talking about Dr. King later in this hour. One of my favorite stories is the day that King was in Newark and just randomly stopped by the Baraka house, knocked on the door, and just invited himself in for coffee. Maybe we'll tell that story later in today's program as we talk about Dr. King. Yeah. But that Baraka legacy is a grand legacy. A longtime mayor of Newark, now running for governor of the Garden State of New Jersey. Mayor Baraka, all the best in the campaign. Thank you for your time, sir. Good to have you on.
Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Take care.
Appreciate you, my friend. Stay strong. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Lawmakers passed a bill to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in state government and education in West Virginia. The bill bans DEI trainings, job preferences, required statements, and restricts gender identity pronouns in public schools. At least 34 people, including children, died in a Russian missile strike on Sumy, Ukraine on Sunday. Nearly 120 were injured. President Zelensky called the attack the work of scoundrels. The FAA announced the shutdown of New York helicopter tours after a fatal crash into the Hudson River. This follows Senator Chuck Schumer's call to suspend the company's license. The FAA and NTSB are investigating and recovering helicopter parts. And rapper Soulja Boy is speaking out against a verdict finding him liable for rape. He plans to appeal, claiming the trial has been costly and he's innocent. An anonymous woman accused him of assault and he must pay a $4 million settlement. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Southern California Edison reminds you that downed wires are dangerous. Never approach or touch a downed wire or anything in contact with it. Stay away and call 911. Learn more at sce.com/stay safe.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Major props to the Clippers. They had to win their final 2 regular season games on the road, and they got it done. The Clippers beat Golden State 124-119 in overtime Sunday to clinch the 5th seed in the Western Conference playoffs. The Clippers will play Denver in the first round. Game 1 in the best-of-7 series is Saturday at Denver. James Harden led the Clippers with 39 points and 10 assists, 33 points for Kawhi Leonard in 47 minutes. Folks, let me say this. If Kawhi Leonard can avoid any issues with his right knee, the Clippers are going to make some serious noise in the playoffs. Sunday's win was the Clippers' 8th in a row. They are 18-3 since March 5th. The Clippers are playing like they're ready for the postseason. The Lakers secured the number 3 seed in the Western Conference. Their first-round opponent is Minnesota. Game 1 of their best-of-7 series is Saturday at Crypto.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Before the fire, Altadena was a real-life Wakanda. A thriving black oasis just 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. 80% black residents were homeowners, building intergenerational wealth against the odds. It was a hub of black-owned businesses, churches, and cultural institutions. It stood as a symbol of black resilience and economic independence. Then, in a matter of hours, it was gone. The fire tore through homes, swallowed businesses, and left behind a painful void. But was it just an unstoppable act of nature, or was negligence involved? Did officials ignore early warning signs? Were the response efforts delayed or insufficient? What role, if any, did corporate or government failures play? Survivors are demanding answers. Don't miss our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall. The Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting, on Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center, 1081 North Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Join Dominic DePrima, Nee Cordelai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley, and a panel of survivors, community leaders, and experts as we commemorate Day 100 since the wildfires flared up, and we discuss where we go from here. It's KBLA's Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting Town Hall, Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center in Pasadena. Light refreshments to follow. Admission is free, but sign-up is required at our KBLA1580.com website. The first 100 attendees will receive a complimentary air purifier. This is a community call to action, brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. A are the top-rated African-American talk show hosts in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Appreciate our conversation with Mayor of Newark, Raz Baraka, now running for governor of New Jersey. What a great way to start the show today. Now we move to our regular contributor, Ruben Navarrette Jr., to talk about Trump, immigrants, and the courts. So one judge says the Trump administration can deport Columbia University protester that is, Mahmoud Khalil. Meanwhile, another judge at another court orders the Trump administration to return a Maryland man wrongfully deported to El Salvador. What gives? Pleased to have Ruben on right now to talk about this. And as I commence this conversation with Ruben, there is breaking news right now about this Maryland man wrongly deported to El Salvador. The Washington Post is reporting, as are others, that El Salvador's president says he will not return. It's the president of El Salvador says he will not return the wrongly deported man from Maryland to the U.S. I quote from the president of El Salvador, "Of course, I'm not going to do it." He said that Monday during a meeting with with President Donald Trump, that he's not going to return Mr. Garcia to Maryland. So breaking news literally as we enter this conversation. Ruben, what do you make of that?
Oh, brother, it's really sticky. That case in particular is really complicated. It's very frustrating for those of us who applauded the Supreme Court decision 9-0, that defying the president, defying the administration, the Supreme Court saying you need to bring this guy back. You can find him, you can bring him back. It's your responsibility. And it looked like the president and his administration, at first they tried to play dumb. We can't find him. We don't know where the guy is. And then it seemed like they were going to outright defy the Supreme Court. Well, now they've had this workaround whereby they get the president of El Salvador to do their dirty work and say, ultimately, he says, well, I have control of the guy. I run the prison. I'm not going to release him. That allows Trump and company to just shrug and say, well, it's out of our hands. It wasn't us who defied the U.S. Supreme Court. It was this president of El Salvador. Obviously, the court's jurisdiction doesn't extend to El Salvador to him.
Yeah. What do you
make? Stuff. Very sneaky, very underhanded stuff.
Yeah, underhanded is a good word for it. Like, what do you make of the fact? I mean, we've been talking for weeks and months now about the ways that all kinds of fellow citizens are bending the knee in the Trump era. Law firms, colleges, universities, media networks, everybody, it seems, is bending the knee. But now you got the president of a country to which someone was wrongfully deported, aligning himself with the Trump administration, saying, of course I'm not going to return him. And again, nobody's stuck on stupid. Nobody's naive here. They don't want to get in the crosshairs of Donald Trump. So you're right. They get the president of El Salvador to do their dirty work for them. But that's the nastiest, the ugliest kind of politics, Ruben.
It really is. And this is really a money thing, too. You have to understand it's a money thing. The El Salvadoran president was just at the White House. He got the primatur of sort of meeting at the Oval Office, makes him look good back home, powerful. But also, this is a money thing because Trump is paying, I think, $20,000 per incarceree at this prison. And so clearly he's motivated. The president of El Salvador is motivated by that, wants to keep that business going, and has basically made up this convenient place to drop these prisoners. I will say I've been having flashbacks all morning to what happened during the War on Terror, when multiple presidents, and that's Barack Obama and George W. Bush, used foreign countries to rendition some of these people, whereby they could take terror suspects, put them in a foreign country. Ultimately, what happened to those people in those foreign countries to extract intel, we could shrug and say, hey, we didn't torture anybody. All we did was send them to a country to be tortured. We didn't do that. So that was a very slippery slope, and Democrats and Republicans both played that game. But as soon as you start bringing in foreign governments, it gets this sticky.
Yeah. One has to feel for Mr. Garcia and his family, again, wrongly deported and in prison in a country that refuses to return you now because they're playing politics and cozying up to the Trump administration. It's really sick. It's just sick to watch this kind of game being played. And Ruben's right. Now the Trump administration they throw their hands up and say, hey, I'm sorry, Your Honor. They say to the U.S. judge, sorry, Your Honor, it's not our fault. They won't return him. And so they figured out a way to end run, a way around what this U.S. court ordered. So at this point, it seems to me, Ruben, I'm no legal scholar, but it seems to me if El Salvador won't return him, then the Trump administration doesn't have to respond to this judge anymore.
We're out of moves. I think those people are out of moves, people who wanted to see this gentleman returned. For me, I really started paying attention to this case when I saw the 9-0. When I saw that people like Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito and Kavanaugh, all these conservative justices, 6 of those 9 justices are Republicans. And yet all 9-0 said, you got to bring him back. That's when I really perked up and thought, okay, how is the president going to get around this? Is he going to defy the Supreme Court? Well, he found a workaround.
Yeah. What do you make? Let me just. This will get me in some trouble. Not the first time, not the last time. But strategically, yeah. What do you make of the way the Trump administration is just playing the game? I mean, you're right. We're out of moves on this now. They figured out a way to just out-strategize the U.S. court system on this issue.
That's fair game. I'm gonna tell you what. That's fair game. I don't like that they did this, but they're playing the game by the rules. It's the smart lawyers who are able to figure this out. This reminds me of a stunt that was pulled by Sheriff Joe Arpaio in Arizona, where when Obama was president, Obama and the administration said, we're not going to take any more people apprehended in Arizona if we think they were victims of ethnic profiling. Mm-hmm. And Arpaio said, fine, I'm going to just drive them to the border and drop them off there. And you can do with them what you want. And I later spoke to John Morton, the head of ICE, and he said, yeah, that really put us in a box. You know, that really outsmarted us. So you're always allowed to outsmart people. And here, Trump has some really smart lawyers who figured this out, and they played it. But I got to tell you, going back, I remember some really smart lawyers working for Barack Obama who likewise cut some corners. You know, that's what they teach you in law school how to do.
You know, the scary part of this is just one example of one person who was wrongly deported, and that country refuses to return him. But you can see how there'll be other cases just like this, that the Trump administration will deport people who are brown and black. Let me underline that, black. They would deport brown people. They would deport black people. And if those countries are so desperate to maintain a relationship with the U.S., in this current moment where Donald Trump happens to be president, and the Trump administration says, we're not going to play ball with you if you return these persons that we're sending back to you, no matter how wrongfully they were deported, you can see, Ruben, how this becomes a process. It becomes a way for them, again, to deport anybody they want to deport, and then get in relationship with the leader of that particular country, and that person who got deported is just stuck like Chuck.
You know, and I think that there's a lot of folks who think of this, they hear us talking, and they say, well, this isn't really my problem because this is only people who are undocumented, and I'm not undocumented. It's only people who are gang members. I'm not a gang member. In the case of this particular individual, the evidence wasn't there that he was a gang member. The evidence was not there that he should have been deported. But I am seeing, and you probably are too, a lot of reporting that Trump is talking openly about deporting U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
About deporting people who are legally here. His critics. You know, he says it in jest. We know to take Trump seriously when he says things like this. So I got to say, once you involve a foreign country, if he were to deport a U.S. citizen who was critical of him and send him to a country in South America or Africa or Asia or wherever, and he paid to house that person along with others, you know, what happened today basically, Tavis, tells us that there's not much that we can do about it, not much that the Supreme Court can do about it, because ultimately when you involve a foreign government like this, it gives you plausible deniability. Oh, it's not really us. We didn't do it. You know, it's not up to us. It's out of our hands. It really is up to the president of El Salvador.
No, I don't think that Ruben or I can overstate. I don't think either of us can overstate this. That's how serious this is. That this administration can deport whoever it wants to deport, perhaps down the road, including U.S. citizens. They deport you to a country because they don't like your politics, and that country refuses to return you, and the Trump administration just wipes its hands clean of it. That's how scary this is. And that's just one court. The other court that we'll talk about when we come forward suggests that they can, in fact, the Trump administration, deport Mahmoud Khalil, the Columbia University protester. This thing is, not quite over yet. But just the fact that you got these courts schizophrenically deciding that you can do this and you cannot do that. I digress for now. More with Ruben Navarrette Jr. when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Lamert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SUNNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SUNNY to 200-300. That's SUNNY to 200-300. SUNNY to 200-300.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Ruben Navarrette Jr. as we talk about Trump, immigrants, and the courts. So we spent a few minutes here talking about the case of Mr. Garcia in El Salvador, wrongfully deported. The president of El Salvador, now cozying up to the Trump team, has said he will not return that man to the U.S., even though he's sitting in a prison right now and should not be. That's beyond tragic, but that's the world we live in. And the Trump administration has found a way around this U.S. federal judge, telling them that that man needs to be brought back. They figured out a way around it. And again, if the president of the country says he ain't going to send him back, then what you going to do? So the Trump, another victory, put that in air quotes, for the Trump team. That's one court. Meanwhile, in another U.S. court, the judge says that they can, in fact, deport Columbia University protester Mahmoud Khalil. What do we think about that, Ruben?
Well, we've talked about this case before on air, and you and I got into it a little bit. Got a little testy between us because I have believed then, I still believe now, that when you are in a student visa and you become a green card holder, you are on probation, so to speak. You're still a guest in this country until you become a U.S. citizen. You have to be on your best behavior. That does not include on social media and in person at schools like Columbia, stoking anti-Semitism or anti-American sentiment, talking about how you want to bring revolution to the United States. Since you and I spoke, some damaging texts have come to light that show exactly sort of where Khalil was coming from in his politics, and that's not something that you do when you're on probation. When you're a U.S. citizen, have at it. But you have to understand that when you have a green card, that's not the same as citizenship. It can be revoked by Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. That's happening. And here's the last thing. Tavis felt bad, uncomfortable about the fact that not all green card deportees are treated this way. He has access to the media. He speaks English. He's a graduate student from Columbia. He has a lawyer. I got to tell you, for most Mexicans and Salvadorans and others who get deported out of L.A. with green cards, they don't have this kind of royal treatment. So there is this disparity about this particular case that makes me uneasy.
See, here's what I don't like about this. And you're right. You and I kind of got into it the last time you were on about this, and maybe we'll again in these next few minutes. But let me just tell you what I don't like. Let me tell you what I don't like about this, and what I don't like about your point of view on this. Even as I respect your right to express your point of view. So what you're telling me is that you can come to this country. We let you in. You pay taxes like all the rest of us. You go to Columbia University and you pay Columbia for an education. So you can pay our institutions, you can pay our taxes, but beyond that, sit down and shut up. So you're in this country, and while you're here, you have the rights and privileges appertaining thereunto, the rights that all the rest of us have. He has, in fact, a right to speak out. So again, you can move the way we want you to move, but you can't express yourself and say the things that we don't want you to say. And if you say something that we don't want you to say politically, and that's not all of us, that's just this administration. Most of us don't have a problem. Many of us don't have a problem with what he said in this protest. But you can't speak up, and if you speak up, we send you back. See that I don't like that. That doesn't.
Okay, yeah. And here's the important thing to bear in mind. At the beginning of this segment, you said you have this kind of schizophrenic, use the word schizophrenic, talk about how the judges different courts are making different decisions about deportees. And it's true, because on a case-by-case basis, different courts, federal courts, jurisdictions, will make different decisions based on the facts and the law in that case. And likewise here, I will say, we don't want you to sit down and shut up. We want you to come on a visa to Columbia, raise your hand in class, say free Palestine, river to the sea, say what you want to say about the Jews, about Palestinians, whatever. You want to carry a sign, that's fine. What he is charged with as a leader of this movement includes taking over a building, pushing to the ground and hurting a security guard who was either black or brown, okay, and acting in a way as a domestic terrorist would act when those protesters got violent. So we have to take this on a case-by-case basis. I'm perfectly fine with people expressing their opinions in class, a peaceful march. This does not condone violence, though, and he is neck deep as a leader of this movement at Columbia. The reason he was on the radar is because he felt very entitled and privileged. So let me get on my soapbox just a little bit. I think that Mahoud Khalil really does exemplify what it means to be an American in the worst sense of the word, because every day I run across Americans who are entitled, who feel entitled, and that's how he felt. He got confused in his mind. He thought he was a U.S. citizen. He began acting like a U.S. citizen. He's not one.
You're confusing the word entitled with rights. It's not entitled. It's rights. You have a right to speak out. That is not an entitlement. That is a right. You have the right to free speech. You have the right to due process. You have the right. Let me stop. You get my blood pressure up. It's not an entitlement. You have the right to these things. Don't be dismissive and call it an entitlement. You have the right to speak in this country. Let me ask you another question. Why is it that we can deport Mr. Khalil, but Elon Musk's support for white domestic terrorism isn't enough to get him deported? I digress. I remain in motion. Ruben will come forward.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
After producing an award-winning climate justice campaign in 2024, KBLA Talk 1580 has gone all in on its 2025 Climate Justice plus Black Health Initiative. April is Minority Health Month, and Urban Family Focus in partnership with Providence Health Systems presents The Heart of the Matter. Providence doctors and health equity officers will participate in informative and life-changing conversations on hypertension, health equity, behavioral health, and community engagement. Don't miss these empowering conversations on Urban Family Focus every Saturday in April at 7 and Sunday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sponsored by Providence, Southern California's largest and most comprehensive health care network. We've got a lot to talk about on KBLA Talk 1580. Download the KBLA 1580 app or log in to KBLA1580.com. I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. On KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
Ruben, you're Harvard educated. You understand the difference between an entitlement and a right, do you not?
I do. Now, do you understand the difference between the right to protest and the right to take over a building in a violent protest? He didn't have the right to take over a building and engage in violence. The trick here, there's a big difference there. He has the right to speak up. He doesn't have the right to engage in violence. The other point, though, is because he's a green card holder, and frankly, this is something that you and I do not understand. We are always going to be ignorant on this point because you were born in the U.S. and so was I. But for people who have green cards, who came here from another country, they will tell you that when they go through the process, they are told this is a provisional thing. It can be revoked. You have to be on your best behavior. Apparently, Kahul was absent that day at orientation. He didn't get that message because he engaged in violent behavior. He should have stayed in his dorm room or spoken up in class or stayed at the protest and held up a sign. And for January 6th, I'll give you an example. It's possible that thousands of people who marched on the Capitol didn't enter the Capitol, but the law says that if you broke the seal on the Capitol, you entered the Capitol, you broke into Nancy Pelosi's office, you graffitied the place, you hit a police officer, you knocked him to the ground, the law treats you differently. So you are all welcome to engage in free speech. You are not involved. You are not entitled to engage in violent protest.
And what happened to all those persons that did the things that you just said they did? What did Donald Trump do when he got to the White House, Ruben? What did he do?
Well, that's
No. Answer the question. When he got to the White House, what did he do?
He pardoned them.
Thank you. Either we are a nation that believes in the rule of law or we don't. You can't pick and choose, Ruben.
I totally agree with that. That's on Donald Trump and the Republican Party and their contradiction on the rule of law. But there were more than 1,500 protesters that day outside the Capitol. What I'm saying is if you were one of the other several thousand protesters who just, yelled and screamed, but you didn't enter the Capitol building, the law didn't prosecute you. So let's not get this confused here. You can come to the United States on a green card. Just don't take over a building. It's not that hard.
I've seen no evidence that Mr. Khalil personally engaged in violence, number one. I've seen no evidence of that, number one. And number two, protest is as American as apple pie. You recall something called the Boston Tea Party, Ruben?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, absolutely.
It's as American as apple pie. That's what we do. We protest for right in this country. That ought not to get any of us deported, period. I'm
struck by the fact, though, that if you look at the civil rights movement, there was this split between violence and nonviolence. We've always had this argument. Just because people say we don't condone violence doesn't mean that they don't have a right to protest.
Exactly. And I believe you're making my point. I believe that protest has its place. And because you engage in protest, that ought not to put you in line for deportation. We're out of time right now. You know I still love you, right?
All right. I love you, too. Thanks so much.
But you're wrong. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Lawmakers passed a bill to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in state government and education in West Virginia. The bill bans DEI trainings, job preferences, required statements, and restricts gender identity pronouns in public schools. At least 34 people, including children,